Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
La 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 la. Madonna beat. This is the best.
All right, guys, welcome into another episode of Kourtney and Khloé Take the Hamptons, right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. We are talking about 12 Steps and 30 Candles, tonight's episode. Exciting, fun, amazing, on the edge of your seat. All these other great words about television that people describe. You wouldn't use for this episode tonight. This show has bottomed out. We're talking about the most boring Kardashian season, series, whatever. Sterling, stop dancing, start paying attention.
It's turning up. It's turn up.
Don't turn her down.
Yeah, don't turn me down, Bobby.
Listen, we're talking about the most boring season of Kardashians of anything I've ever seen.
That's why Fergie's still playing. We're trying to entertain y'all.
So, and I know we've been getting a lot of comments from people at home on YouTube. Thank you very much for commenting. Continue to do that. But as they're commenting, and they're right about this, they agree with us that this is not the most exciting season. Maybe they don't agree with necessarily that it'll get canceled like we've been talking about. But something, I mean, we took a whole episode today, and what we got through was Scott went to rehab. Important discussion.
Yeah, but we already knew that.
Well, we knew that. And Kourtney has a therapist there, and she's gonna go see a therapist.
Yeah.
It took an hour to learn that Kourtney was, she might gonna walk into a therapist.
And
And Khloé turned 30 and got a new wrinkle.
I don't even want to talk about that. We will. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't care about that.
It was a lot of, this show is a lot of build-up. It's a lot of unnecessary things. We already knew everything we needed to know in the first 30 seconds. But with that said, we still watch. Everyone still watches.
Well, not everyone.
Addicted to the Kardashians.
Although they are getting good ratings. I know they got 1.5 million last week. 1.5 million Americans watched this crap that they limped to the barn with last Sunday.
I wonder how many watched this
crazy.
Sunday and hated it.
But listen, God bless them, because we do watch, and as much as we criticize it, we're going to watch next year the regular Kardashians.
Yep.
So who are we to talk?
I mean, I can tell you over and over how much I don't like the show, but I'm still going to watch every week, and I'm still going to talk about it for 45 minutes after. So
But
here we go.
Well, yeah, but they should, like today's episode could have been done in 30 minutes. It could have been a 30-minute show instead of an hour show.
pretty much every episode could have been done in 30 minutes. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I miss Chris Humphries.
Oh, no.
I miss Lamar. Even though he is an addict, like, oh well, he's still a good person, I guess.
That's true. Let's hold off on Lamar and Khloé, though. Let's start with Kourtney and Lee Weinraub. I hope I'm saying her name right, the therapist. Sterling, focus. If we're going to get through this together, we're going to need you to focus on for us.
I'm
okay?
here. I'm with it.
By the way, I realized I didn't introduce us when you guys were dancing. I'm Bobby, that's Sterling, and Jessie. As
Hi,
always,
everyone.
Francesca's out this week. She'll be back next week.
Love ya.
Okay, Kourtney. So she's going to talk to a therapist. I feel like we're covering, and this is obvious, we're covering what's already been covered on other episodes of other Kardashian shows. Kourtney doesn't show her emotions. Kourtney bottles it up.
We know
Kourtney
this.
takes it out on Scott. We know these things.
And the people who watch the show are the people who have watched the previous 9 seasons of the Kardashians. They're the people who know that Kourtney is she's in a glass case of emotion. Whatever.
She's not in a glass case of emotion.
She's in a glass case of emotion, and it hasn't a brick wall of emotion that hasn't been broken down yet.
Exactly.
But we all know that. So like to watch this over and over again, it's like we know we want to see her with a therapist. We don't want to see them talking about her going to one. We want to see it actually happening.
This is an example, this entire show and Kourtney's story in and of itself, because it's so repetitive, is an example of, even in reality TV, how you jump the gun too quickly on spinoffs. You have to have a story to do a spinoff. When it was Khloé and Lamar, that was a spinoff because Lamar was new, it was a different facet of that relationship.
We didn't know anything about him, right?
We didn't know anything. These two girls have already spun off to multiple cities before this. It's also...
They've taken over quite a few cities at this point.
They took over Miami. Miami won't even let them back again. They took it over so hard. You need another storyline to get a spinoff. The Scott rehab thing, not enough of a storyline. Serious, interesting, hope he gets better. Not enough of a storyline for a season-long spinoff.
Right.
Well, let's be honest. We kind of saw the previews for next week about him staying.
He'll be in rehab for 5 days, spoiler alert, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So he's coming home. So we know how that's going to go. Nothing's going to change. The same thing, same old. Kourtney's never going to break up with him. Let's talk about that. Now that we're talking about Kourtney.
Kourtney is very stubborn. We all know that. They talk about, so let's just talk about Scott and Kourtney together because that's kind of what's happening here. So
is Sterling
Scott,
just going to take over?
Yeah, I feel because I want to bring up Scott and I don't want to
do it. That's fine. Yeah.
do it separately. So this whole episode was Kourtney talking about how she wanted Scott to go to rehab on his own, make that own decision, didn't want to force him to have to do anything. And it's kind of interesting because Khloe and Kim are behind the scenes kind of orchestrating this whole therapy session for Kourtney, and that's kind of forcing her into that situation, so that's not a decision she's making for herself. And we've talked about this theme on this show for normal Kardashians and for this show with the people who need help, whether it's Rob or Scott or Kourtney or Khloe, whoever it is, they have to want it for themselves. And we've said that over and over again on the show. They have to want the help for themselves, and no one can force them to do that. So again, we're seeing someone else in the family setting it up for Kourtney to get the help that she obviously needs, that we all know that she needs, but she's still not so open to it herself. She wants Scott to be so on board with getting help, but she's not on board with getting her own help. So she's being kind of hypocritical there. She's being stubborn. So yeah, that's what I think.
You know, and I will say this, and this is going to sound crazy, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, because I've made fun of Kim for her multiple marriages and her situation. I made fun of Khloe for her kind of randomness situation and her random marriage with Lamar. Khloe and Kim took the time and got well into their 30s now, and Khloe is approaching 30, and Kim into her 30s, before they established themselves with a most serious marriage. I know Kim was married several times, of course, but a most serious marriage, a family, kids. Khloe is still circling that situation to try to find out that establishment as she turns 30 and beyond. Kourtney did the opposite. Kourtney went right into the family, right into the kids, right into dependability and consistency. I've always looked at it as, oh, Kourtney's the most mature one because she went into the family thing and Khloe and Kim kind of screwed around for a while and whatever. Thinking about the way we've seen Kourtney portrayed in the season now, I think Khloe and Kim are actually
More
a lot
mature.
smarter.
Right.
Because they figured out, they did in their 20s what we're doing in our 20s. You figure out what life's about, you fail a bunch, hopefully you succeed a little bit, and when you hit 28 or 30 or 32, you're like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't, this is where I go.
Yeah.
Kourtney never even took a second to think about that. And I know we don't know her whole backstory in her 20s, but she never took a second to think about it. She jumped in, she's had kid after kid after kid, because why think about your own emotions when you can think about raising the family?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I also think that, Kourtney took that route because she wanted a family, whereas Kim wanted the career. Khloe, well, I don't know what Khloe wanted. Maybe she wanted to be the housewife.
Khloe doesn't know what Khloe wants, and that's a good thing. And
Khloe
Kim
wants a baby, though.
Well, she thinks she does now, but she's learning these things, but she didn't know. And Kim didn't really know what she wanted and went all over the place. Career, marriage, took the career, now has the marriage. We'll see how that goes. Why wouldn't it work from what we've seen so far? But Kourtney, it's almost mindless for Kourtney. I want the marriage, I want the kids, I want the stability. That's great. The stability is what everybody wants if you're mentally ready for the stability. But if you're just wanting and having the stability because you don't want to think about your own mental issues, all the stability in the world doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how perfect the kids are, God love them, they're adorable. It doesn't matter. You at some point will be confronted with your issues, and Kourtney is fast coming to that point.
Right. I feel like she's always, even growing up, because she was the oldest of so many kids, was responsible for all of her siblings younger than her, that when she got to the age where, okay, I can have kids now, then she started her own family. So that was just kind of a natural thing for her to always be responsible for so many kids. And we've known, and she's talked about this so much, about how many kids she wants. She wants basically a farm. She isn't about the whole lifestyle that Kim and Khloe kind of are about. So I don't know. I think big family is important for her, but I think it's interesting that you bring up that's because she's distracting herself from what's going on with her.
I think completely. And it seems like she's a wonderful mother. We've never heard anything to the contrary, so she's a great mom. And it seems like she was ready for the kids. She was ready for that vacuum to have the family. But she herself, personally, psychologically was not ready for any of this because she never confronted her own. It's like she went from being what you said, raising siblings when older Robert Kardashian, the father, when they divorced and then when he died, you know, prematurely, whether she had to raise siblings or be kind of a second mom or whatever, she went immediately from being a kid to being an adult. And now it's like, oh, I'm an adult. Let me be more of an adult. More kids, more kids. That's great. You never took time for yourself.
Right, exactly.
You know? The worst thing for any of us would have been to have a kid at 20 or 21 or 22. No thanks. Not because we don't like kids, not because we wouldn't have done whatever we had to do to take care of it.
I don't have my own stuff figured out.
Exactly. You're not ready in your own life.
I guess because I'm from the South and everybody has kids young and gets married young.
We're all from the South.
Oh, well, yeah.
You're talking to two North Carolinians now.
I mean, so you should understand that, like, some people, I'm not saying that they don't have life goals or, you know, dreams and all that kind of stuff. It's just some people don't have, like we're here trying to make it out here. Some people don't want that. They just want to get married and have a family.
I'm with you, but some of those people, and it's not just people who get married and have families, people who decide what they want quickly, no matter what it is, don't examine themselves in all the possibilities. And I do see some people, and I have friends who had kids at 22 and got married and are going to be married for 70 years, and I'm like, how the hell do you do that? But for them it works, and that's cool. But there are also people who get, get married at 22, or who come out and try to be an actor at 22. Whatever it is on the spectrum, they decide they want something without really understanding the gravity of every situation, of every option, and without ever learning about themselves, and they get stuck in something they don't really know if they want to be in. And that's Kourtney right now, and she loves the kids.
Scott, right.
She's not going to get rid of the kids. She's not going to do anything. You know, she's there with the kids, and she should be. But
I think
with
she
Scott,
lives for the kids.
She does.
She doesn't live for Scott
and
or
that's
live
a bad
for herself.
Thing. You
right.
shouldn't live for the kids.
She's comfortable with Scott. Like, she's too comfortable. That's why she's never going to end it. She has kids with him. She's been with him for God knows how long?
A while.
Like, it's been like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's a long time to be with somebody. And I feel like she's so comfortable that she's like, well, look at all the stuff that we've been through. Because when you've been through that much stuff with somebody, it's so hard to just leave them. So, I mean, I really understand where she's coming from, so I can't really knock her on it. But, I mean, like, everyone sees from the outside that she needs to get out of the relationship. But really, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
You know?
That's a good point, that we don't know what their relationship is off. Who knows? Is like, maybe, who knows, but all the time she's on the phone when people are talking to her, she's talking to him. We don't know that.
Yeah.
But I really do wish that this show in particular showed that she cares about him more. Because it really just seems so, she just doesn't care. She doesn't come home to take him to rehab. She doesn't do it. So I want to believe that it's not actually like that.
It's interesting to see how she's being portrayed or portraying herself, and who knows where that line sits between real life and producer life and what she's been told to do or pushed to do. But the way she's being portrayed on this show is kind of an ice queen. You know, I hate to use that
100%.
phrase, but she's being very cold, very standoffish, very distant from everybody. With Scott's actions for the past 8 years, and with Scott's actions in this season, she would have every right to be the sympathetic figure on this show, and she's not.
Yeah.
So that should tell you about something, that we have more sympathy for Scott right now than for her. That should tell you that something's whacked off with her, that there's something going on with her. And I know she's fed up with him, but there's something else on that. She should be a sympathetic figure. We should feel sorry for the mom who's effectively a single mom right now, raising kids without him because he's not able to. And yet, I'm hating her. I'm hating her more than I've ever hated her. She's always been my favorite. I hate her now.
I agree. And I actually had a lot of respect for Scott, this episode in particular, even after everything that happened last week and, you know, his bad decisions, whatever. This whole season of this show for him, it shows me he's mature. He's making these decisions on his own. He's like, I know I have a problem, and I'm tired of telling myself, you know, tired of talking about all these problems and doing nothing to fix it. So I thought that was really mature of him to realize that, and not only realize it, but make an effort to go to the rehab center. I don't know. Because like you said, we do sympathize with Scott in this situation.
And I thought it was super mature of him to go, well, there's two things to talk about in this situation. The first one is Scott's point of view. The second is Kourtney's. Scott's point of view upon the moment leaving for the rehab center, I thought it was a great decision for him to go before Kourtney got into town. And he mentioned it. He was like, I don't want to
feel comfortable.
Yeah, I don't want to say, oh, I'm going to stay, I'll go later. Go now. This is tough, but it's right. Totally respected him on that decision. On the flip side, Kourtney, I know you have your sonogram and your third child coming, and this is not your first rodeo, it's your third. You've had children before. I'm sure you could find a doctor in New York City. Something tells me there's a doctor in New York City somewhere, probably.
Yeah.
You don't, when Scott went through the pills and was hospitalized and was talking about going to rehab, you don't go to your doctor's appointment. You fly right back.
Yeah, you get on the next flight. Back. The next helicopter ride.
Listen, and Jessie, your point of how long they've known each other, even if you hate him right now, even if you're not together, it's the father of your children, I think you go right back.
Right.
I really do. I think you go right back to New York. I think you don't go to your doctor's appointment and you're like, I don't want to know the gender. You know the gender, but you can tell me later. No.
It's not an emergency.
You can do that next week.
Yeah.
You can do that a couple days from now. Go see Scott.
But you know the clip that they showed where she was talking to Chris and she's like, I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm not going to do anything. I think that's what
That's the problem.
That's the issue.
Not dealing.
Doing.
Right, exactly.
She just doesn't. She doesn't want to deal with it. She wants him there. She wants him to be a good boy. And none of their problems get resolved. Like, it's back and forth, and nothing ever gets resolved.
Well, and it's interesting that she's not really telling anyone what's going on. Chris had no idea what was happening. Kendall and Kylie are like, are we not supposed to know? She's not being honest with her family about everything that's going on, and that's a huge problem that she's so closed off. And I don't know if it's because maybe it's too heavy of a topic that she doesn't want to even deal with it, or maybe she might be a little bit embarrassed. I don't know what it is, but she's just not talking to the closest people around her about it.
And now Sterling Cates is our Instagram investigator. So Sterling, tell me, does Kourtney have friends outside the family?
A lot of her Instagram is pictures of her, like selfies and then magazine covers. She doesn't really post with anyone else.
And I'm sure, I'm sure it's not the most dire situation. She doesn't sit at home with the kids 24/7. I'm sure she has a friend or two. But we see Khloe's friends. Right, we see Malika.
Yep.
We see French. We see other friends with them. We see Kim's friends. We see a bunch of people who have been with Kim. Remember the wedding in the last episode of Kardashians? We saw a bunch of Kim's friends come out to the wedding. I don't really remember a lot of Kourtney's friends appearing on the show. It's possible maybe they don't want to.
They're never on the show. She does Instagram. Well, when she had her baby shower and that sort of stuff, she Instagrammed with a couple of friends I'd never seen before. But other than that, for the majority, she does Instagram a lot of pictures of her and Scott. She Instagrams a lot of pictures of herself. But other than that, it's not a whole lot of outside people. There are a few instances where there are, but it doesn't seem like she has a big support group outside of the family.
And that's what I'm saying. She's just isolated herself. What it seems to us, it could very well be false, but from what it seems to my layman's eye watching the Kardashians, she's isolating herself. So not only does she not talk, she doesn't have anybody to go to. The people she goes to in the family all have a vested interest one way or another in the relationship and are good sounding boards. You need your family, but they're also not the most objective. And if she had a friend who she didn't know through Scott, who was just some guy or girl who she's known for a long time, doesn't know her through the family, doesn't know her through Scott, and can kind of be a little more objective to just hear everything that Kourtney's going through, I think that'd be pretty valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has that. Sterling has offered, so Kourtney, if you're watching this, you and Sterling can have coffee and do yoga and talk.
I'm here.
She's there. She'll Instagram it too.
Yeah.
She'll trade you 1,000 Instagram likes for an hour of conversation. But that's a serious, you're like excited about that.
That sounds like a great idea. Sign me up.
But that's a serious, when you isolate yourself like that, that's a serious issue.
Yeah.
Something tells me on some level, I'm no psychologist, I'm not diagnosing anyone, so don't be stupid, but something tells me on some level that Scott is not the only depressed person in that relationship.
Yeah.
It's both of them. Every relationship, it's never one-sided, because if that person's staying and, you know, they're both back and forth, it's both people. And it's all about compromise. And you might not like something that the other person is dealing with, but if you choose to accept that thing about that person, then you need, like, if you're staying with them, then that means you accept it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if you haven't said anything about it tacitly over 8 years, that means you've accepted it.
Well, and everyone realizes that except for Kourtney. Yeah. Everyone in the family knows it. Scott knows it. But so that's why they bring in this Lee person to hopefully get Kourtney to realize it once and for all.
What do you guys think Lee charges an hour? Seriously, it's got to be like $1,000 an hour.
Probably $1,000.
It's probably $1,000 an hour. She's on like retainer to fly to them. She probably made 10 or 15 grand to fly to them for a day.
Yeah,
that's a sweet gig.
To talk to Kourtney for like an hour.
To talk to Kourtney about, you know, problems.
Well, and isn't Miraval super celebrity exclusive, so I'm sure she's making. I need to reconsider my career path now. I'm thinking.
And listen, and I'm not saying celebrity problems are not real problems, but I am saying real people have trouble paying the rent every month and deciding if they're going to be able to sleep with a roof over their head or not. Kourtney's problems are a little bit different. So Lee's got a pretty good situation going on. And if I'm Kourtney, and I know you've never known any different because you've been rich your whole life, but if I'm Kourtney or anybody, it's like, understand how blessed you are because she said it to Scott.
Yeah, realize how fortunate you are to be able to afford help, and then it's kind of being thrown right back at her. Which
is maybe the same argument you can make with Rob, but that's a different story for another time. But if you're Kourtney right now, you know, Lee or not, maybe I was a little more impressed with how she took the Lee thing. I expected her to blow up like what Khloe thought, and she didn't. So maybe that's a sign that she knows something's wrong. But that's great, Kourtney. If you know something's wrong, you got to go the full 9 yards. Yeah. You can't go 2 yards and say, okay, I did enough. Nothing's gonna change.
Yeah. How much? Like, I feel like she got into that therapy session and she did like the same thing that she did on the. Remember, like a while back, they actually showed one of her sessions. I feel like she might have done the same thing. Like, I don't feel like, you know, where she, like, kind of closes up and she'll, like, make excuses or be like, I'm done talking about this, or I don't want to talk about this. Yeah. Like, I don't really see her getting much progress in that session.
I think she was super annoyed, but she knew that the producers already knew that she needed to do the therapy session, so she was just going to agree with it.
And it made me a little frustrated. Talking about real people with real problems, she's a real person. We all are. I'm not saying they're fake or they don't count. But she's saying like, oh, you know, my problems with Scott, you know, and me being not emotional and not talking, like, it's just uncomfortable and I don't want to talk about it. People, people have very, very, very serious problems that they bring to therapists. Years of physical and mental and sexual abuse and serious, serious things, and this is her issue. And I wanted to strangle her as just a normal person who lives a hopefully normal life. I wanted to strangle her and be like, Kourtney, wake up. I know that like life is not perfect for you right now, and it never will be, but wake up and do something for yourself because it could be a lot worse. A lot worse.
Could. Yeah.
You could have a guy who, you know, you could have a total deadbeat dad. At least he's there for the kids.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse, even in realistic situations. He could be abusing you. You know, he could be getting drunk and hitting you. You know, and there's no indication he does that, obviously, so I assume he doesn't.
Right.
We'd have heard about that, I'm sure. But it could be a lot worse.
I think it's interesting that Chris has never been to therapy, because I feel like that's right up her alley.
I think Chris and Kourtney are very similar in this regard.
Yeah.
Neither one of them wants to confront anything
about
whatsoever.
Themselves. Chris wants to confront everything that's not about herself, and so does Kourtney. But when it comes to them, they're just closed up.
And that's the same idea for both of them. It's like you'd love to talk, you'd love to gossip. You don't want to confront another person's issues when you're like that. You want to hear about them.
Right.
You want to gossip about them. You don't want to help them. You want to know what's going on because you're a busybody. But when it comes time to confront yourself, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody gossip about me.
I think they all need a little therapy. Like, do you notice how, like, everyone, like, was snapping at each other? Well, not everybody, but, like, you know, Khloe would get upset and she'd snap at Chris over something stupid. Like, you made the comment, you're like, I don't even know what this fight's about. Like, I think that whole family just needs individual therapy. Even like Kendall. She wants to change her name to Kendall.
I got a crazy idea. Maybe you don't raise a family on television.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, high five. There we go. All right. There we go. Thank you for the round of applause at home. I appreciate that. You can sit down now. Anything more on Kourtney and Scott, you guys?
No.
This show bores me to death. But the good news is... we can transition off.
I'm glad we're here.
To our boy French Montana. What's up, girls? Yo, it was
Can't
French
ever really
Montana.
Tell when French is speaking French or English.
Sterling, I'm gonna talk like French Montana in this section here. So what y'all think about my girl Khloe? Yo.
Yes. So probably the most entertaining part on this show is just trying to translate whenever French Montana speaks.
Was he talking in French earlier? And which one of you said?
Yeah, I was like, wait, was that French or English? Because I can't understand either. Whatever language it is, I have no idea.
I didn't know if it was that bad, and I went on like Wet Paint and Reality Tea and all these, you know, reality websites or whatever, and all the commenters on the Kardashians, every single commenter was like, I can't understand French. I don't understand what he's saying.
It's hilarious. Even when he grabs the mic and she's like, all right, great. Good talk.
Chris has worked her whole life. Chris has worked her whole life as a momager to be professional, to have a talk show, to do all these things for her girls, to stand next to French Montana at Khloe's birthday and hear him go, "Yo, my girl turned 30. Good, yeah, happy birthday, girl." Like, Chris.
Did you notice she gave the toast on behalf of French? It was just so he didn't have to talk. That was really it.
On behalf of French, I would like to speak in English that you can understand. What he wants to say. Happy birthday, Khloé Kardashian.
That's a great point. I'm sorry, I'm like tearing up. That's a great point. You like say that for like little kids or something who like aren't going to speak in public. You're like, well, on behalf of my whole family. French is like a 6-year-old you bring to the event. Well, on behalf of this little guy here.
Well, he did plan a great birthday for Khloe.
He did.
He bought her a Jeep, though. Where's the Maserati?
Okay, we're normal people. We make normal money, which is to say, we're taking PayPal donations for the rent this month, okay? But we make actual like normal money, like we budget, like normal people who watch this budget. Rich people like the Kardashians, hey, God love them, you earned your money, I think it's great that you're rich. But when you're at that level, French, here's a tip for you. When you're at that level as a celebrity like French and Khloe are, Sterling, if you bought me a Jeep for my birthday, I would like lose my you-know-what and go crazy and take this Jeep and love it.
You are so ungrateful.
No, I'm saying I'd be grateful. I'm saying I would go crazy for it because it'd be amazing. If French buys Khloe a Jeep, that's a Maserati, that's a Bentley, that's a Beamer. You don't buy a Jeep.
I'd like to think that's an inside thing that happened when they were in Africa and they were taking a little Jeep around and Khloe was like, "I'd love to have one of these."
And she probably didn't mean it, and so she's probably like, "Damn, I'm stuck with this Jeep, and I
like,
can't sell it."
Remembered.
And he really just put a tax bill on her because when you give somebody a car, they still got to pay taxes on it. So he really just gave her like a $4,000 or $5,000 bill. Like,
I'm sure that's like pocket change to her,
maybe
though.
She always wanted her real life Barbie Jeep or something.
And Jessie, you pointed out.
I like to think this is a good gift.
I don't. I think it's a terrible gift for their station in life. For our station in life, a Jeep's like a life changer.
I feel like I wouldn't have shown it on the show.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't show it on the show. They didn't show a side thing of the car because it's a terrible car for these people.
Yeah, I wanted to see a side shot to see if there were at least some rims on it.
Or I at least wanted to see more of a shot of the car because that would have meant Jeep paid for it. To show how little they showed the car, Jeep probably wasn't involved.
Yeah,
Jeep didn't sponsor this because they barely showed the car.
That's true.
And then they didn't show the side of the car because it was pretty not fitting their station.
I mean, what is Khloe drives? What now?
Not a Jeep.
Like a Mercedes or
she's got like
a G-Wagon. They all have G-Wagons.
What a big difference. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to take my Jeep out instead of my Mercedes."
That's my G-Wagon.
And a Jeep's a great car. If we said Jeep so much that it triggered some Google alerts
Jeep.
over at Jeep, if you guys are listening, Jeep, I would love a Jeep. I will Instagram I will Instagram my Jeep every damn day. I would love that car. But for their station in life, that's not an acceptable gift.
Right.
You got to do better than a Jeep.
I agree.
If French is going to rap about how much money he got and like how he's in the club and he's doing his thing and whatever it is rappers rap about, you got to do better than a Jeep.
Yeah.
You know? That's like, Sterling, that's like me for your birthday buying you a skateboard.
That's why they're not together anymore, Bobby.
You'd be
Please
like,
don't. I would kill myself. I'm the most uncoordinated person ever.
Like, why do I have a skateboard? You know, that's exactly what that's like. Moving on from unacceptable birthday gifts.
Did you know you get a wrinkle every time you turn 30?
It's a fact.
Fact.
That's a fact.
Where
I wonder where
this
my wrinkle will be.
It's in the brain, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it. She's like, it's like a real fact.
Like
a real
that
fact.
you get a wrinkle.
I just feel like
it took her 5 minutes to say she gets a wrinkle when you turn 30.
And did you know Jesus is 33 when he died? Did you know?
And then what did Khloe respond with? Yeah, I think I heard that.
I heard that a few
or two.
times.
Oh God, it's all so inappropriate. It's all so inappropriate.
I'm falling asleep.
I know. I'm seriously. It's boring and it's inappropriate. Now Jessie and I are.
Brain numbing.
He's getting wrinkles in his brain right now. Jessie and I are getting relatively close to 30. Not too close, but relatively.
Shut your mouth, Bobby.
Well, I'm sorry. I had to tell the truth.
What's that feel like?
Well,
Tell
Sterling's
me.
our little 13-year-old on the panel. Sterling.
I only have another year.
Tell me what it's like to almost have that wrinkle, guys.
I'll tell you what it's like. It doesn't make a damn difference. I know 30, 40, these are milestone ages, but let's not take half a show to talk about this, Khloé. You have everything.
That's what I said earlier, and you said the difference between 29 and 30 is a big deal.
I was being facetious. I was being facetious.
You really seemed like you were earlier. He's trying to cover it up now.
I can't wait to turn 30. It'll be about 2 years. That's fine with me. Whatever. Sterling, it'll be about 17 years for you.
Yep.
Let me know when you get your driver's permit, by the way. We'd love to buy you a Jeep.
I'd love for you to buy me a Jeep right now.
I know, seriously. Okay. Khloé. Is Khloé right to have her quarter life crisis? I mean, I know that's a weird question to say, are you right to do your own personal thing? But, I mean, are we buying it? Do we accept it? I know she's been through a lot with Lamar. That was a relatively longer time ago, longer than Scott's
situation. She feels left out. That's all it is. She feels left out because, look, Kim is married to Kanye. She has a baby. Kourtney, yeah, she's iffy with Scott, but she's been solid with Scott for 7 years. And they have 3 kids. And she is divorced. I mean, she's dating French Montana.
Is French Montana.
And honestly, like, if for her to make that remark about Lamar, about how if she had it her way, she would still be married to Lamar today. She was still in love with Lamar. That just proves French. I mean, yeah, he's just a replacement to cover up her feelings right now.
Yeah,
which she's not happy.
Rebound.
Maybe is why French just bought her a Jeep. You buy a Maserati for a girl you care about. You buy a Jeep for the rebound, right?
Well, it's his Khloé baby.
He doesn't know if it's so serious yet for a Maserati level.
You're supposed to laugh.
You always tell us we're supposed to laugh, but we never do.
Well, it's usually pretty funny, and you guys miss it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Okay, back to Khloé.
I'm just saying, she's sad. Let her be sad.
Everybody's sad. Here's what I see. I'm going to tell you what I see like it matters.
Tell us, Bobby.
Everybody on the show is sad. Everybody on this show has a lot of money. Money does not cure depression. I'm not saying that. But everybody on the show is very well off in life. They have successful careers in what they do. They have a beautiful family. Let's not forget that. The family as a whole is great and beautiful and fun. And all families fight, but more or less they're great. They can go wherever they want. Part of that's money. Part of that's also lifestyle that they've earned for themselves. They are respected in the industries they are in. I know people on television stuff make fun of them and whatever, but they're respected in what they do in the clothing lines and in things like that. They've had very successful careers. And yet I see a lot of very sad people on this show. Now, Scott has an issue with alcohol and his parents, so I understand his emotions. Everybody else on this show, I'm looking at and I'm saying, I don't know if you really get how lucky you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I know a lot of non-viewers of the Kardashians, that's their whole theory. These people they don't deserve to be famous, they don't know how lucky they are, whatever the argument is. A lot of viewers obviously feel differently, and that's why they watch. I have never felt this way about the Kardashians in any season, in any series, in any spinoff until now. I always thought they really pretty well balanced out the whole, we're not normal people, we're celebrities, but hey, we act like normal people too. I thought they did that balance pretty well. I don't think they're doing it very well right now.
Yeah.
Kourtney's bitching, Khloé's bitching, Kris comes and bitches, Kim always bitches, and she's not doing it as bad this time. It's driving me up the wall, as you can see.
I am not going to defend them all the way, but I will say that, we all have our moments when we just start, bitching about everything, and we don't sit back and realize all the stuff we have. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all do it, because we're having a bad day, and we just need to vent,
And Khloé has gone through a lot. It was a really heavy breakup she went through. And I thought it was a little insensitive of Kris to be like, well, what's wrong? Like, I can't believe she said she would still be with Lamar if she had a choice. Like, it's that easy to just stop loving someone, and despite whatever Lamar was going through or what he's still going through, she loved him. I think that was a genuine relationship, and I think she still would be with him. But sometimes you just can't be with someone because of their personal issues or whatever they're going through, and that's just too much for you to take on. But that doesn't mean she loves him any less. Like, she was in love with him. She probably will always love him. It just is circumstances that are keeping them apart. So I think that's hard to deal with, especially when we're trying to start a family. We saw that on their show, that she was ready to have kids with him. They were ready to have that whole lifestyle that she wanted, and that was all ripped away from her.
I'm with you both in both the points you're making. Maybe I'm talking about something slightly differently, and it's we're all right, but there's a balance when you have all the money, all the time, all the assets, all the ability, all the connections.
Money can't buy happiness.
It doesn't, and I'm not saying it buys happiness, but I am saying it can be very...
It fills a void, though.
It fills a void,
Because I know if I could go shopping every day, every time I got sad.
Exactly. But listen, and it's more than just the money. It's everything combined, and it's the idea that it's not even that they should be grateful because they are rich, because money does not buy happiness. But they need to understand how it looks for us viewers who are normal people and who have thus far supported them. And maybe I'm alone in thinking this, maybe I'm not, but who have thus far supported them and then see this, and say, you know what? You guys are starting to seem a little ungrateful. You're starting to seem a little like you've lost your mojo, like what you know, how special you are and how blessed you are, and you're really just complaining about everything, and it's a downer, and that's part of why the show is so boring.
Let's be honest, they think they're better than everybody.
They do, and they should, because they're different, and I understand that. But you can't let that come across. And they're starting to, not in a cocky way, but just in kind of a drudgery, woe is me way.
Yeah,
woe is
I
not
agree.
you.
I
You
see
have
that.
issues. We all do, but come on.
They're playing the victim when
You're
there
real
are
lucky.
bigger victims
There are
out there.
much bigger victims, and they are very lucky. I would love to trade places with them. I would do their life very differently than they would.
Maybe they should go to Thailand again.
Maybe they should. That would be a great idea. and adopt those kids, or try to adopt those kids, or whatever.
What was her
That would
name?
be a great idea.
Pink? Yeah. Was it Pink?
I think so, yeah. This is from regular Kardashian show. We just got the wrap it up sign, so let's do a couple more minutes on this real briefly.
So let's not wrap it up.
Let's not wrap it up. We got a couple minutes. We got 5 minutes. Let's go to predictions.
Okay.
I got 2.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Kick it off, Jessie. She said she.
All right.
All right, go for it.
Well, okay, first one, I'm just going off the previews. They say Jonathan's a leak. I think what's going to happen is Jonathan's going to forgive Kim for accusing him of being the leak.
But he probably really was the leak.
He is money hungry, and he's not going to give up those Kardashians.
He is undoubtedly the leak.
Oh, well, probably.
He's the mole.
Well, why did he... I don't know. I just feel like there's not going to be as much drama as we think there is.
From now on in this show, we'll call him Molathan.
Oh, my God. And
okay, Kermit.
Yeah, I think Scott's obviously going to leave rehab, and I think nothing's going to change, and I think him and Kourtney are just going to continue, and it's going to be like this the whole season.
Sounds wonderful.
That sounds really exciting and lots of fun stuff.
I mean, I'm just so disappointed. I've never been so like watched a show and been like, oh my God, is this almost over? Like, we literally almost fast forwarded it.
Seriously, I hate to say that, but we did. All three of us asked independently if we can go home. I heard a lot of yawns. I'm not saying that and I'm not saying our three opinions are like cut and dry, the final opinions. Obviously, a lot of people are going to disagree with us, but I know a lot of people feel the same way we do.
Yeah. Okay. Back to predictions.
Do it.
Here's the thing. So since we know what's happening in real time with the Kardashians, aka they're all at the American Music Awards right now, we know that Scott is still promoting parties to this day. He's still making those appearances out at clubs, this whole thing. So if this whole rehab thing was going to be effective, that means he needs to get out of the clubs. That means he needs to find a new way to make income, because that's not healthy for someone who's addicted to what comes with that lifestyle and to those substances that are involved there. So for him to kind of dive back in, I mean, that was this summer. It's just a few months ago. He can't be cure-all, and I know he's drinking and this sort of stuff. So when those temptations are there, that's what makes me nervous, especially for someone who was just in rehab a few months ago.
I know a couple seasons ago we saw Scott's restaurant business story. I would like to see more of that story.
I totally forgot about that. And then we even saw him in like a car place. Like he was doing some work at a car place.
I would rather see his business, because he does have some business interests. I would rather see that, if he's still doing that.
And
What
I think
happened
he's so
to that?
personable. I think he's so personable, has a great, personalities, connects with people, and everyone loves him. I mean, you either love him or you love to hate him. Either way, you still love him.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's great, and I feel like he can be successful in other areas that don't involve him being at a club all night.
I think for my predictions, very quickly, Carrie does not go to Spain. Kalinda will kill Bishop. Carrie's going to go free with Dante, and Kalinda will take the Barcelona offer.
What are you talking about?
And that's the wrong show. Sorry. I did that purposely. I don't give a damn. I'm not going to predict anything. I don't care.
Ooh, I got another one.
It doesn't matter.
Lamar and Khloe are going to end up back together, or we're going to see Lamar again.
Folks, if you guys are Good Wife watchers, those are my predictions on The Good Wife. I'll be doing those right now, this next hour here on AfterBuzz, we're done. Social media, Jessie, if they wanted to tweet you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Jessie Owen.
And I'm on the Twitters and the Instagrams at Sterling Cates.
I'm on Twitter at Bobby DeMuro. I would give you my Instagram, but Sterling takes it more seriously, so at Sterling Cates on Instagram. That's it this week on Kourtney and Khloé Take Some Stupid City Nobody Cares About. We'll see you next week right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye, Felicia.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.